All we're doing here to close up the unit on day 6 of the unit is almost being able to solve systems of inequalities. Now, you actually did this in Algebra 1, or I'm sorry, Math 1, but you didn't do it with absolute values back then. In a regular old system, just to kind of give you an example of what a system is, you can't normally solve for two variables, x and y, but if you have two equations, you can solve for x and a y. You can solve for two variables. And what you normally did back in Math 1, if you did this by hand, is you tried to get two of them, one variable to cancel, like the 6 and negative 6y will cancel. Then you could total up and see what you got left. I got 8x equals 32, and then I could divide by 32 and see the x is 4. Then I could find the y by going back and plugging in. It was like a major topic in Math 1. But again, we wouldn't be able to cancel out stuff like, again, we got an absolute value 2 and a regular 2. Like, solving by substitution or elimination probably wouldn't work out nearly as well, especially with inequalities. But since we're already doing absolute value in this unit, I'm just going to graph it as normal. We already know plus 2 means left 2. We already know this minus 4 means down 4. This is from a couple days ago. My vertex is left 2, down 4. And remember that 3 is telling me my rise over run 3 over 1. So I'm rising 3 and running 1, just like you did. Those of you that turned in your worksheet like 2 days ago or yesterday, you already know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything new today. I'm just putting a couple things together we already been doing. So boom, I got my my absolute value graph. Use the ruler when you can use the ruler. And some at my desk, there's no excuse for not using my ruler this time. When normally I'm up there, I don't have a ruler. Oh, nice straight lines. So by the way, continuing, this one's greater than, so where am I shading? Shading above my shape, which means everything on the inside. But by the way, I realize I do have one tiny mistake at this point. Anybody know what's wrong at this point? I have something that I'm not supposed to have technically, because I used the ruler anyways. That's my excuse. It's just greater than. It's supposed to be what kind of line? It's supposed to be just dotted line. So I'm going to go over the top of it and make it more dotted. So yeah, the little graph square that you got from me, I'm doing 2 examples. You can do this one or you can do the next one that I'm going to do. They're both pretty much regular examples. I'm only doing 2 because doing one just doesn't quite seem to do it, but it's really the same process. It's not like there's something new going to happen in the second one. So anyways, again, what's different is today we have a system. We have 2 equations that are working together. My second one is just a regular old line from middle school math for most of y'all. 2 is my y-intercept. I'm going to start at positive 2. 1/3 is still my rise over run. Change the color so it'll stand out and look different. So again, my y-intercept is 2. I rise 1 and run 3 because my slope is 1 over 3. I can also go down 1 and left 3 and be on the same line. This one is less than or equal to, so I'm going to put a solid line correctly this time. This one's less than or equal to, shade above or shade below? Less than is shade below. So note, probably what I'm worried about with this assignment is making sure y'all shade everything below, the whole entire graph below that purple. I'm going to shade. So note, I had y'all get 3 colors. So far I've used 2 colors. All you're really doing with the third color is making your answer stand out. So the most important part of what I'm saying today is what I'm going to say right now. I got several regions. Don't copy my letters. Don't write these letters, but let's call it region A, B, C, D, and E. Only one of these regions is the correct answers to this system. Anybody want to raise their hand and take a shot? Ask which one it is. Well, region A was just good for the first one, the purple region. The green was good for the second one. Tatum? Which one? E? D? Why is it D? I like it. It's basically where the two sections are, the green section and the blue section are doing what to each other? Or they're intersecting, or they're overlapping, you could say. So that's why you have a third color, so you can make that overlap stand out good. So I guess in this case, I'm using this darker color. Wherever they overlap is the only good answers. Those other regions are shaded, but they're not good solutions to the system. So again, basically the only thing that's new here on the last day of the unit is the fact that you have these two different graphs that overlap each other. And within there, you have several actual sets of solutions of x's and y's. Remember, our equation had x's and y's. Our solutions have x's and y's. Make sure as you graph your 4, if you already have your sheet, I should be able to tell where your overlap is. Go ahead, Raven.
Can you explain the shape?
Yep, so when I graphed my absolute value, which is the V shape, it was greater than for this one. So that means shade above, right? I shaded everything above my absolute value, which was the entire inside. On my line, once I graphed it, it was less than, so on my line I had to shade below. And I shade everything in this picture that's below that purple line. And again, wherever they overlap, you use your two different colors, and you can see nicely where they overlap. So again, I'm gonna do a second example. Not that anything is new on my second example, it's just not quite enough to do one. So if you feel like you got it, feel free to go ahead and start knocking out your 4. If you want to Desmos the whole thing, fine. I highly recommend you are able to graph these and shade some on your own. I recommend you're able to really do both Desmos with and without. Any questions before I just go do a second one? Princess? Either or. So right now it's just notes, okay? And I probably would say for most people, there's definitely no need to write both of them. But if you want to do the next one instead of this one, as far as adding to your notes. So that's why I had y'all come pick up either a sticky note with a graph on it or get me to stamp your graph. So just in case, if you need one more, then follow me. If not, then you don't got to worry about following me. So again, I got an absolute value graph and a regular line, which is how we do these in Math 3. In Math 1, it was generally just 2 lines. So I'm going to do my absolute value first. The left-right number, there isn't a number in there, so that means left-right 0. The 4 means up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. My vertex. My rise over run is negative 1/3. So make sure you catch the fact that it's negative, which means it's going downward. Down 1 over 3. Down 1 over 3. It's a dotted line, so I'm going to hand draw this on your paper. On my paper, I could easily use a ruler, but I'm not on paper right now. I'm on my screen. That's my absolute value. And again, from Raven's question, we got to shade less than. So am I shading above it or below it? Yep, below it. Shade everything below it. Like sometimes, like from the papers y'all turned in the other day, and it was really good. But some of y'all would just like shade this and be done. Like you're literally shading everything below it, the whole entire picture below it, because it's less than. If it was greater than, I would have shaded above. I'm using a nice light color, so hopefully I'll be able to see my overlap pretty good. Or at least you don't have to necessarily have a light color, but you should shade lightly so that maybe you can shade your overlap dark. So that's what we did earlier in this unit, absolute value graphs. Again, back in middle school in Math 1, y'all did y equals mx plus b, aka y'all did just normal lines. My y-intercept is -4. I'm going to start there, aka starting point. My rise over run is 2 over 1 from that positive 2. So I need a color that'll stand out in that green. My y-intercept again, -4 right there. My slope is 2 over 1. I'll rise 2. I'll run 1. I'm going to rise 2 again and run 1. These do not make V shapes. It's just the line. Y equals mx plus b. It's just a line. It's supposed to be dotted. I know that. There's no way I'm going to make a good dotted line across my screen. I could barely make it regular like this, but I'm going to go over the top of it and dot it. Try to show it's dotted. It's dotted because it's just greater than. So last but not least, on this red line, red and green line, I need to shade greater than. So I need to shade below it or above it. Yep, I need to shade above it. So I'm going to shade everything above my red line. I'm going to try to ignore the shading that I already got. Don't let that confuse me. I'm shading everything above my red line, which will be all this. And wherever they overlap again, that's the good solution area. I guess purple is a awful decision because this is not showing up well. Important part is to be able to see the correct answers. I got a section A, a section B over here, a section C, and a section D. Make sure you understand what the correct regions are, where the correct solutions are. It's in the overlap. That's a terrible job of me overlapping it. By the way, I just realized that when I overlap, I generally don't use a highlighter. I generally use like the actual marker, so I'm gonna make it look better. Okay, I'm making it worse. A little easier on paper. No excuse though. So that's it for Unit 2. We'll review next and then take the test. So it was everything absolute value. We solved them the first day, and then we solved them with greater than, less than signs. We graphed them. We did the word problems. We did piecewise functions with plugging in, which didn't always have absolute value. And then today, we do systems and look for the overlap.